Good morning. This is Jason Dean coming live at you again for another Film Fanatic show. So, yeah, pretty excited to be back here. I had a couple days where I wasn't around my computer, but always working on video stuff in the meantime. Yeah, we got quite a few quantum shows coming up, which I'm excited. I'm going to just talk about that before I get into this really awesome movie. So, we got coming up a week from not this week, the week after, we're going to be playing. Quantum's going to be playing at the Hot Hill Tavern in Thomaston. Really excited about this show. This is going to be a pretty fun one. It's going to be with my great buddies, my comrades, and this musical odyssey that we are all on together. I'm going to be playing with my friend Halsey and also Ronnie. They do. They also have side project bands. We met quite a few years ago now, and probably about 4 or 5 years ago, and then we started playing. For a brief time, Halsey and I were playing in a band that was pretty short lived and ended up breaking up. And then shortly after that, we were both in a band called Bone Broth that was together for about 2 or 3 years. That was a really fun band, and that was all. That band was mainly like an improvised project, and Ronnie played guitar in that, and Halsey played in that, and then I played drums. And during the kind of that whole kind of configuration, we realized as we got to know each other that we all had these like weird little side projects, and with me being having Quantum, and then Ronnie had his uh, also an electronic group, like a solo improv group, and then Halsey had a group as well that was electro. It was definitely it's definitely real hip hop influence, but definitely electronic based. So we had these like odd little side projects, and so we were like trying to figure out after we got to know each other more, became closer as friends, and discussing different things. We were like trying to figure out, okay, what kind of shows it'd be great to do a show together. And we did one show. It was actually just with Halsey. Ronnie was not able to do it. Where we did a show at Ada's, and it was his first show with his electronic group, and that was a really great, an amazing night. And then when we had our CD release show about 2 or 3 years ago, the first of a two-disc set, we did we had an album release show for In Dreams I Saw Chapter One. When we did that album, which was about 3 years ago, which is crazy to think of, but we recorded that album, and originally it was going to be a double album. But then we realized, wow, this is a lot of music. Maybe we should break it up. So then we had the first release of that first part, chapter one. We did a show in Rockland, and Ronnie opened up for us, played with us, and that was really an awesome, awesome experience. And then fast forward a couple of years later, I was able to get both of those guys to play at the last release show. We released the second part of that album set or collection in November of last year, and I was fortunate enough to get both of those guys on board, and that was super fun. We've played a couple other shows together here and there. We played at Hot Hill Tavern before, all three of us, in the past, and then I think we did one other show as well where we played. So we've been, doing these little things when the opportunity arises. So, but next week we'll be doing it a night of all original electronic music, and so that will be really exciting. And then we have Ronnie and I are going to be doing a show at the Opera House Video, and then we're going to be doing another show, Quantum show, at the Pride Festival, which is coming up. So that will be really cool. And then we have a big party that we're going to be playing at also this month on Owlsboro for this memorial slash celebration of life party. So, yeah, we got some cool things coming up this month in June. It's hard to believe it's already June. But anyway, getting to the main topic at hand, I just uploaded a video on a movie that I had been wanting to get to for a long time. This is actually two movies, kind of in one. It's the based on the original. The first movie I uploaded of this little mini series is Bad Lieutenant, and then also today's show is going to be on the remake or reimagining of that movie. And so I just uploaded the Abel Ferrara film video with starring Harvey Keitel, Bad Lieutenant, which is such a masterpiece. It's definitely one of the darkest, one of the most, generally one of the hardest movies I think to watch, and it's for me. I'm a huge Harvey Keitel fan, but I think it's his best performance ever. I mean, talk about putting yourself in an incredibly vulnerable space as an actor. It's a it's a tour de force. Abel Ferrara is also one of my favorite directors, and so fast forward, that came out in the original came out in '92, and then fast forward to 2009, there was a remake that came out directed by Werner Herzog, the iconic German director who's made so many, amazing films, just one of the greatest directors. He's also made lots of documentaries, but he bounces back between doing, the last 10 or 15 years he's been doing a lot of documentaries, movies like, Grizzly Man, but then he also, before that did Nosferatu, all kinds of just amazing films. And he's been bouncing back between doing docs and full length feature films. But in 2009, he did his own take, basically, of a reimagining of Bad Lieutenant, starring Nicolas Cage, Val Kilmer, and Eva Mendes. And so it was funny because I'm always sitting around thinking about new ideas for shows. There's always movies that I realized in my collection that I haven't talked about, that I haven't done shows for with this channel. And typically, when I do a show, I usually try to watch the movie and then do a fresh kind of review of it, or where I just basically talk about it. I like to do that just because obviously it's kind of fresh in my system, even if it's a movie I've seen a bazillion times. So in this case, I was like thinking of some ideas, and I'm like, you know what? I've never talked about Bad Lieutenant and then its subsequent sequel, or not sequel but reimagining. And Bad Lieutenant, the original, I've seen, as incredible as that movie is. I've only seen it probably 3 or 4 times, but it's a total masterpiece. It's one of my favorite Abel Ferrara films, and I own that on DVD. I definitely need to get an upgrade. But then when I was realizing this, and then I was thinking of ideas for new shows, I'm like, oh, I got to do a show on Bad Lieutenant, because it truly is. I mean, that's, if anything, if there's a mission statement for this channel, for my Film Fanatic YouTube channel, it's to bring movies to light that maybe not a lot of folks talk about. And I feel like Harvey Keitel is um, a very popular actor. He hasn't acted in quite a few years that I know of. He has he's gotten up there in age. I believe he's in his 80s now. But during the 90s and early 2000s, I mean, so many great films that he was in. His career really exploded during Pulp Fiction. So, and then also the iconic Reservoir Dogs. He's worked with Tarantino about 3 times. So he's had a lot of high prolific shows and movies and things like that. And he was riding a real high life as an actor for quite a few years. And so I realized, wow, nobody ever talks about Bad Lieutenant, and I feel like nobody ever really even discusses the work of Abel Ferrara, which I think is, I think some of his films are just just amazing. So, and I've never heard anybody talk about Bad Lieutenant, and also the second one, which I'm going to be talking about today. So check out that review. I uploaded that, and so while I was thinking of these ideas, I was like, wait, there's the remake by Werner Herzog by Nicolas Cage, which I had only seen once, but I also own that on DVD. For whatever reason, I've only seen it once. And I realized when I was thinking of doing the show for the original, I'm like, wow, I've only seen this actually three or four times. I generally think like I can watch horror movies, anytime. I can watch exploitation movies any time of the week. I don't necessarily have to be in a mood. Sometimes I'm craving like I want to watch a real dirty, kind of sleazy slasher movie or just a gonzo weird, kind of film. But generally, I can watch those films anytime. But I think Bad Lieutenant is a movie that you kind of it's generally hard to watch. I think at times, but it's such an incredible film. I think for me, you kind of have to be in a little bit of a certain mood to watch it because it's it's pretty dismal. So so I up just uploaded the show for the original, and then today's show is going to be on the 92 or 2009 version, directed by Werner Herzog, Nick Cage, and Val Kilmer, who just passed away, and Eva Mendes. And so I just watched this again for the second time on DVD. I have a DVD copy of this. I've had the first Bad Lieutenant on DVD for many, many, many years. I can't remember even where I got it. And this as well. I've had this for a really, really long time, but for whatever reason, I just haven't rewatched it. I've only seen this once. I should say twice. I watched this again in preparation for the show the other night. So, yeah, there's a lot to talk about with this movie. It's really fantastic. And I just finished Bad Lieutenant up last night, and the remake, and it was only again my second time seeing this movie, and it's awesome. I think I kind of think it's one of the best examples of a remake or a reimagining, if you will, done right, and it's got its own style. It's definitely Gonzo crazy. It definitely has that vibe of the first one, where it gets into it really focuses on kind of the madness of addiction. But it's really unique. The first Bad Lieutenant takes place in New York City, like pretty much all of Abel Ferrara's films, and it's really really gritty. It's really dark and it's sleazy. It's such a dirty, sleazy little movie. It's super low budget. I kind of put it in the realm of kind of the low budget exploitation world. I mean, and I think as far as Abel Ferrara goes, there's another movie he did, which I believe was his debut, Driller Killer, which is a total like slasher exploitation movie. But I kind of feel like, which is amazing. I have that. I bought that this year or last year on Blu-ray. But I think that um, you know the original definitely is still in that vein because it's it's nasty. I think it's one of the most disturbing, and generally there's scenes in that movie where I have a high threshold to if I'm watching a film that's very graphic, whether it's whether there's rape scenes or there's graphic violence or just total depravity. I have or gore. I have a pretty high threshold for that, but there's moments in Bad Lieutenant where I feel like I almost have to look away. And getting back to today's show with the remake, I'm a Nicolas Cage is my favorite actor of all time. I love his work. He's one of those actors that he can be in a movie that is not so great, but he is always awesome in it. And this whole movie, not only is he gives an incredible performance in this film. Like he's just totally fucking unhinged in this movie, and it's shocking. There's some shocking fucking shit in this movie, just like the first one. I mean, Bad Lieutenant, the first one, is a shocking movie to watch, and this is very shocking too. It has some. The storyline is kind of the same, but it is quite a bit different. Um, the setting is very different too for the remake. I mean, the first one takes place in kind of the gritty New York City environment. This one takes place in the timeline of New Orleans, right after kind of Katrina, where after the storm, everything is in a complete state of chaos, which is a really great backdrop for this film. But basically, his character, Nicolas Cage's character, or the Harvey Keitel character that he plays, is essentially he goes into bed with these drug dealers, and there's a little bit of a different thing as far as him trying to kind of capitalize and manipulate the drug trade, and it goes a little bit deeper into that kind of aspect. But generally, he's his character is just completely depraved and completely fucked up and works outside the law and is completely lost. Um, it's like a character study on a character who is literally at the gates of hell, if you will. It's an amazing performance. Eva Mendes is incredible, and Val Kilmer is actually really good in this. He is not really in the film all that much, but he plays a really great role. And again, it's masterfully directed. It's a really great film, and I think this is an example of one of the better kind of reimaginings or remake of a film because, let's face it, it's really hard to do. It's a lot of the times it's not often very successful. I think one movie there are examples of where it is a great thing. One movie that I think of off the top of my head is the Evil Dead remake. Originally by Sam Raimi, but then the remake by Fede Alvarez. A masterpiece. But this is another example of a director that pays homage to the original, which is such an iconic film, but then gives you something new and does something doesn't isn't trying to replicate the the story and the structure, but is doing something new, but keeps the mythology intact, if you will, and the narrative, but does something new, and doesn't try to outwardly you know please the fan base of those respected films that came before or film. It's its own thing, and and Werner Herzog, of course, is such a legendary, masterful director, one of the greatest directors ever. So you know, you could tell this film was in the hands of a true master, and it's great. It's really awesome. This DVD is pretty amazing. The one thing that's really disappointing about both of these DVDs that I have, the first Abel Farrar one and then the Werner Herzog version, is there's no special features on here. There's not even any commentary tracks, which is really disappointing. I was eager to check out, really eager to see any kind of special feature stuff, even a commentary track, which a lot of the times I don't watch commentary tracks just because, they're so lengthy, but they are very, very good, and you have to sit through the movie basically again. But they are really awesome. I need to check out more commentary tracks. But there's no special features. There's not even any commentary tracks on any of this. And I figured there would be something on this newer version, but there's nothing. So that's the only thing that's really disappointing. But the quality is really great. Both of these movies I definitely need to get an upgrade. But this is a really great movie. I highly recommend this movie. It's one of the better performances by the amazing Nick Cage. Eva Mendes is great, and Val Kilmer just passed away, but he's great in this movie, and he plays a very different role. He's like a supporting actor, but really great. Again, it really keeps the it still has that real grittiness. It's really well fucked up and unhinged like the first one, but it brings you. I love that it's in a completely different time and place. It's in a different city, so it's got a very different vibe, and it has a different take. The narrative structure is different. The story is quite a bit different. The ending is very very different for this one as opposed to the original, which is so bleak. After watching the original, the ending, you just kind of want to you kind of want to kill yourself at the end of it because it's just so depressing. This ending is not as it's a little bit more um, resolved and not I wouldn't say a quote unquote happy ending, but there's a little bit of levity and a little bit of relief from the dismal nature and the dark nature, whereas the original by Abel Ferrara, there really isn't. It's unrelenting. So there's a little bit of levity and a little bit of a shift, which is kind of refreshing, and you kind of need it because the movie hits you really, really hard. But yeah, amazing. So both films, and this is a great movie, and I was super excited, totally into it. And again, I hadn't seen this movie in a very, very long time, and I had only seen it once, so it was like watching it for the first time. So thanks again, and we will see you next time. Peace.